Trump alone for the past few weeks on the program. But last week, isn't it amazing? Wrestling is getting more publicity than it's ever gotten in the history of wrestling, and yet it's more unpopular than ever before. Fewer people are actually watching or going to the matches. But the fucking tweet that he sent out, some guy made it, of Trump, it was the clip of Trump, you've seen it, Trump tackling Vince at WrestleMania, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And beating him up, but Vince's head was superimposed with the CNN logo, so it was Trump beating up CNN. And for, as I say, the kind of people who like that kind of thing, that's the kind of thing those people like. I can see where people thought it was fucking totally ridiculous for him to do that, and an embarrassment and unbefitting the office of the president. And I get at the same time, I can see where people thought it was kind of funny. If it had been Barack Obama, of course, Obama would have never put himself in any of these positions because he was a dignified, intelligent man. But if it had been Obama tackling Fox News, you know, and I would have popped. But the problem that I have, our priorities are so backwards. Our fucking cognitive abilities have been turned upside down. We look at everything, or a lot of people look at everything completely backwards these days. Because it was like CNN is the baby face. They are telling the American public what a crook our president really is. How many fucking crooked things he's done. How many lies he's told. How many fucking unsavory characters he's involved with. How many fucking times that he has chosen to go with the fucking unsavory element instead of addressing the needs of the American public. CNN's the babyface. Trump is the heel in real life because everybody knows this shit's true. Everybody except this is the, help me work through this, Brian. This could be an on-air therapy session. Remember when you were my anger management therapist and it didn't go well?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. Here's what we know to be facts. We know to be facts that Donald Trump has told at least one lie every day he has been in office as president. We know that Donald Trump is woefully in over his head. He doesn't know how any of this shit works. He's unprepared to be a goddamn county fucking clerk, much less president of the United States. He's a national embarrassment. Every time he opens his mouth, the people that he associates with, the people he surrounds himself with, are bad for the country, bad for the legal system, bad for everything, except billionaires. If you're a billionaire, you're looking fucking good. The Republicans are goddamn in a state of such disarray that they cannot even, they've had 8 years to repeal and replace Obamacare. In other words, they've had 8 years to figure out a way that they could palatably take away tens of millions of people's health care, reward the insurance companies, give big tax breaks to the rich and fuck the poor and fuck the middle class and downgrade the quality of everybody's health care. They've had 8 years to figure out how to do that. They haven't done it yet. Trump, he hasn't built a wall, which was foolishness. I mean, all the stuff. Everybody that has cognitive function and the ability to discern the smell of roses from bullshit knows what Donald Trump is. He's a fraud, a liar, a con man, and a dangerous fucking human being. CNN is trying to tell the American public exactly that. The ones that haven't figured it out yet. But somehow, through the artistry that he learned in pro wrestling, Donald Trump can make it look like CNN is the heel and he's the babyface and he's beating up CNN and people pop. How the fuck does that work?
Well, I don't know who's popping for. I mean, you know, I mean, everyone realizes what's going on, I think.
No, they don't. No, they don't, because, well, for one thing, one of the newscasters, by the way, I watched the news, played it over and over. One of the newscasters said, well, this is a clip of someone who looks like Donald Trump tackling a man, and the CNN logo is, super. He didn't even, he couldn't bring himself to believe that a guy who's been elected president of the United States would have actually done a fucking wrestling angle. And then his reporter had to tell him, no, that actually really is Donald Trump. That's the only real part of this fucking thing. But he's still got a 40% approval rating. 40% of the people in the United States of America cannot figure out a goddamn idiot and a bullshit artist when he's standing in front of them. And this is what amazes me. Donald Trump has learned from his brief flirtation with wrestling and probably his years as a goddamn real estate con man that facts don't matter. It's what people believe, as Vince says. And Vince has a lot more similarities to Trump than I thought. Perception is reality. Because of whatever the people's situation, whether they're the religious nuts that, okay, if you vote against abortion, we'll vote for fucking Saddam Hussein, or whether it's the billionaires and millionaires and the big business fucks that just want to continue compiling all that money and raping the rest of society, or whether it's the fucking Kentucky coal miners that think that somehow the coal industry is coming back, and because coal employs fewer people than goddamn, fucking Walgreens, the entire coal industry in the United States, but still it's important. Instead of getting away from melting the planet and clean energy and retraining people, et cetera, et cetera. But the coal miners think he's great. The fucking low information voters that don't really know what the fuck, and they can't understand the big words that Barack Obama and a lot of the Democrats used because, intelligence is out of favor these days in the United States. If you're smart, there must be something wrong with you. Let's give stupid a chance. All those people, all together, and many others, for whatever their own reason, they will actually give credence to this lying sack of shit. As Bob Armstrong would say, this gum-bumping sack of snake feces, Donald Trump. They give credence to him. They overlook all the obvious. They overlook the facts. They overlook what their fucking brain might tell them and their eyes and their ears, because with their heart, they want to think that somehow this guy's going to save the United States and get it back to the way they think it should be. 40% of America think that this goddamn cretin is legitimate. That's dangerous. That's dangerous to the world. Truthfully, North Korea, these missiles, they can't hit the broadside of a barn. They couldn't hit the ground with their fucking hat. North Korea is not the biggest danger to the world. A nuclear North Korea, we already are nuclear, and Donald Trump is carrying around the fucking football. The guy who can't even, the serial tweeter who can't for once just leave anything go. Because the first thing that any fucking nut job that a strongman dictator does is discredit the media, because the media is the ones that are going to tell, except for Fox News. The media is the ones that are going to tell the people that this fucking guy's an idiot, and here's why, and here's the facts. And for the folks who can read and choose to read, they will learn that, and Trump wants to discredit that because he doesn't want people to know he's a fucking idiot. We understand that. But they say you can't, there are no marks left, and you can't make people believe wrestling is real anymore. But yet 40% of the United States believe in Donald Trump. And I got news for you, folks. When wrestling was done right, it was a lot more believable than anything I've seen from Donald Trump.
I mentioned on the show a few weeks back a book called Lost Tycoon, The Many Lives of Donald Trump. That was written in 1993, I believe. There's also a documentary, it's on iTunes, called Trump, What's the Deal? Same thing, came out around the same time, both before politics. So neither one of them have a political spin on it. And you can read that book or watch that documentary and see, this is nothing new. The whole idea of him attacking media for not reporting what he wants them to report. And that's what it comes down to. He wants them to just repeat what he says instead of doing research, looking into things, debunking lies, and he can't deal with it. And again, it goes way back, before politics. If you want to know about Donald Trump, look at his life before politics, and it'll tell you everything.
Yeah, everything's not written across his fucking face. In the words of Sugarloaf, and don't call us, we'll call you. I had your number, Donald Trump, as soon as you walked in the fucking door. And I'm just astonished, but that something else wrestling related. Donald Trump is a wrestling heel, and shout out Chauncey DeVega, by the way, writes tremendous columns, and I've retweeted some of them, and he's an avid Cult Cornette listener. But Donald Trump is a fucking pro wrestling personality, but we can't, the only thing is, you can't decide whether he's a babyface or a heel, because to what he does to people who are into that type of thing, for whatever reason, all the folks I mentioned, he's a babyface. But to people who actually demand a standard of behavior and intelligence and honesty in government leaders and officials and lawmakers, he's the biggest heel we've ever had, because he's a national embarrassment. Here it is, 4th of July. Remember back at 4th of July days gone by, when we could actually say, rah, rah, America's the greatest country in the world. We're proud to be Americans. In 3.5 years, we'll be able to say that again. In the meantime, we're the laughing stock of the world, because we have elected a real estate conman buffoon with billionaire friends to the most powerful office in